Fear grips Niger State communities as military troops deploys equipment to bandit enclaves. Hello everyone, welcome to newsspottv. Fear is the order of the day in many communities in Niger State, days after 36 officers were killed by suspected cattle rustlers in Akere village. The communities where apprehension is most prevalent include Akere, Zungeru, Erena, Kwaki, Chukuba, Kwasasu, and adjoining villages, all located in Bushishi and Shiroro local government areas of the state. The communities have since become troubled following the heavy deployment of troops and military equipment by the Nigerian army. While Zungeru, for instance, witnessed deployment of soldiers and equipment, Erena recorded the doubling of military personnel in its operational area following the visit of the Chief of Army Staff a few days ago. Although the military is yet to carry out any major offensive in the troubled area, the communities believe a military operation is imminent, as the armed forces are not known to allow the killing of their own. Some members of the communities who spoke to Daily Sun emphasized that it is a military tradition not to allow the perpetrators of such dastardly crime go unpunished, and therefore it is a matter of time for them to carry out strikes on suspected enclaves in these communities. For sure, they will go all out to deal with bandits, and anyone caught in the crossfire will be regarded as collateral damage. So, it is advisable for everyone in the state to be cautious, no matter where you are. A resident of Zungeru town, Abdullahi Mohammed, said. Adamu Seidu, a resident of Erena town in Shiroro local government area, observed that although we suspect that the bombardment of the area was to enable the military evacuate the bodies of those killed in the helicopter crash, we don't know and cannot say what will follow next. As I speak to you, there's a heavy presence of soldiers in Erena town, and I'm sure that the military will go all out for the bandit warlord. To buttress their fear, an unidentified fighter jet was said to have killed a woman and injured two others in Kwaki village in Shiroro local government on Friday morning. The lone fighter jet, it was gathered, targeted suspected enclaves, but unintentionally hit at some villagers who were preparing to go to their farms. In the meantime, the Niger State Governor Umar Mohammed Bago has opted for dialogue with the bandits as a way forward. At a ceremony to kick off the distribution of farm inputs to farmers in the state on Saturday, he announced that government was seriously considering the idea of dialogue with bandits. We will discuss with the bandits and let them know that there is the need to live in peace than fighting. We intend to bring the Fulani headsmen into the government, and that is why we created the Ministry for Nomadic and Pastoral Affairs to handle all matters concerning farmers and herdsmen crisis in the state, he said. This position of the government has, however, attracted condemnation from a cross-section of the state, given the hardship and pain the bandits have subjected the people of the state to in the past few years. Many of those whose relatives were killed by bandits or those who have been forced to relocate from their ancestral farms or homes due to banditry are finding it difficult or hard to come to terms with the position of the state government. While urging the governor to rethink and allow the military to flush out the enemies of the people, they observed that similar dialogues had failed to address banditry in neighboring Zamfara and Katsina states. They also observed that a similar dialogue initiated by the immediate past administration of Governor Abubakar Sani Bello in the state also failed to curb the activities of bandits. Hassan Mohammed, a legal practitioner who spoke to Daily Sun, argued that there are groups of people who are no longer content with their traditional cattle rearing and have now taken to criminality of kidnapping for ransom and cattle rustling to earn a living, taking advantage of the country's inefficient or non-functional security networks. They can never be appeased by word of mouth or any form of dialogue. There is no amount of dialogue that can stop banditry in the state because this is purely criminal activity. You can only go into dialogue with people who are known to you or who are agitating for something. In this case, these people have not demanded anything. Rather, they are just kidnapping people for ransom and rustling animals and selling them for money. I think the governor needs to be reminded that these people have wreaked havoc across the state in the last 8 years, and they are still wreaking more havoc. Again, the governor should be reminded that similar dialogue has failed in states like Zamfara, Katsina, and Kaduna. Therefore, it would be a miracle for dialogue to stop the ongoing madness in the state. Saidu Abdullahi, a retired civil servant in the state, maintained that it was unfortunate that the governor was opting for dialogue at a time when the military were hurt and red hot to take decisive action against the bandits in the state. If the chief security officer of the state sees nothing wrong in the killing of those he is supposed to protect their lives and property by terrorists, bandits, and criminals, only for him to come around for negotiation with those he is to go to war with, then the people of the state are doomed. He should take a cue from those that tried it in Zamfara, Kaduna, and Sokoto states. Let the governor also ask his predecessor in office if dialogue with these criminals can work. What we expect from the governor is to allow the military go ahead with their operation against these terrorists and deal with them decisively, he submitted. A retired military officer who did not want his name in print believed that the governor's position was far from people's expectations on measures to take against the bandits, especially with the killing of soldiers. The total combat losses was over 36 military personnel in the state, including senior officers, as we were told. This is too heavy coming from non-state actors. So leaving it without deadly response would embolden these bandits and weaken our own forces. The governor shouldn't have made such pronouncements openly at a time the armed forces were mourning their loved ones. The governor may in due course come begging for deployment of forces in the state when the situation gets bad, because these criminals are not ready for any dialogue whatsoever. Let's take some comments. The first commenter here said, why is the governor approbating and reprobating? Why is it blowing hot and cold? Bandits killed soldiers and airmen, and you went to commiserate with them and told them to help you deal decisively with the issue. Why is he now talking about negotiation with criminals? I wouldn't know what is wrong with some political class. How can a person of governor's caliber be saying an annoying thing like this? I sincerely hope he's not one of their sponsors. Another said, why is the governor opting for dialogue with the bandits despite all the horrors they committed? This is an inappropriate response to the situation and speaks volumes. Another said, kudos to Nigerian army, go and delete them. Another said, I wish it was his children and brothers that were killed by these demonic brothers. Another said, negotiating with the bandits and terrorists. I wonder why some governors don't sometimes consult people close to them or using their common sense before coming out on air. Another said, well, will any sane person think the best option is to discuss with bandits? Discuss what exactly? Have we become so impotent that we can't deal with criminals and put them where they belong instead of negotiating with them? Another commenter said, the governor is a bad man, enemy of his state and Nigerians. Wallahi, the governor should be arrested and killed along with the bandit before it's too late. Niger State governor is a wicked person. Bandits are deleting people without any reason and he is saying dialogue with them. God punish him for trying to bring ideas of dialogue. Another said, dialogue with them? Is it that the people doing the evil are known? The BAT should use military structures to enforce a state of emergency in those states until peace is achieved before bringing back the political system. Another said, I dare the military to attack them and experience serious opposition from the northern cabals, who said an attack on terrorists is an attack on the north. Northern region is not southern region that allows soldiers to retaliate on their personnel. I'm waiting to be proved wrong. Another commenter said, even the Niger State governor looks exactly like the terrorists, therefore I'm not surprised at his support for them. Another said, this is a government angling to go for external war when the home front is being taken over by bandits with impunity. How can a old governor propose a negotiation with criminals and killers? Another said, when the man wins the election, I thought he is their messiah, but I can understand now he is the real enemy of his people. No pay man for that matter. Another said, killed by suspected cattle rustlers, Fulani herders. Which tribes are they from? So many animals in this country always calls out the Igbos without facing their real problems. Another said the governor of Niger State is an accomplice for thinking the military cannot deal with the terrorists. Another said, this man looks like another Bazoum Mohammed of Niger Republic. Another said, you don't negotiate with criminals, you flush them out. Another said, surely the military will deal ruthlessly with those criminals being shielded by this insensitive governor. Another said, oh, how I wish it's governor's family member that was involved in the killings. Then we go for dialogue. Another said, the governor himself, though a Nupe man, but he looks like Fulani. Northern Muslims and bandits are one and the same thing. If not, what dialogue is he talking about? Maybe it means to gather sympathy from the power that be so that government can be giving him special allocation for the Ministry of Terrorism that he created. Another said, dialogue for where? Let the army deal with them. Another said, I wonder, when they were stealing, raping and killing people, were they using dialogue? Our leaders should sound reasonable, please. Another said, useless leadership equals useless patterns. Another said, not to only deploy soldiers, but also with ornaments that will overpower the enemies. Another said, soldiers are deployed waiting for what again, without going after the terrorists. These terrorists have informants, sympathizers, their brainwashers are all over watching the deployment of the armies. They are going to inform them that the terrorists, and they will all change location before the army could go in for their offensive. The terrorists need direct strikes, bomb them, and send them to meet their makers. Another said, no amount of dialogue can change bandits for life. Violence is all the know. If the military fails to tame them now, they will become emboldened. A lover of Nigeria would not preach peace with elements who caused death of 36 military men and an aircraft. Which war is bigger than that? Another said, sometimes I don't understand these African leaders and black people. Who do us like this? The white man is enjoying and you are here fighting your own. Another said, you people are not saying the right thing. No. Why can't the Nigerian government invade the northwest and northeast the way they invaded Biafra and some southern and midwestern states in 1967 in the Nigerian Civil War? All those wondering people are saying are not the real truth. Another said, Abacha said anything that lasts more than 24 hours, the government is involved. Another commenter said, this is always the case when you have the bandits as a governor. After those terrorists inflict death and untold hardship to the nation, you are now talking of advocating for them. You're surely one of them. Another said, after deleting a number of military personnel and civilians, you're saying now that you will negotiate with the bandits. Mr. Governor, something is cooking somewhere, without mincing words. Another said, can we say that the governor of that state is also part of them? Why must you dialogue with bandits? The governor of Niger State should resign now or be impeached, because how can an idiotic governor of the Nigerian state be begging to dialogue with terrorists? He is very S and M. Flush them, delete all of them, or hang them, or pound them. Another said, the politics of banditry in northern Nigeria is very deep. The north knows how to end it, and at the appropriate time that will happen. The offensive we see now is more intense, and some elements in the north are not happy. The governor knows that what he is saying, but Dogo Gide must pay for the murder of all those military officers and men. Thank God for the new CNC and COAS. It will soon be over. Another said, foolish governor wey dey pamper those who they suppose delete. Now, wow. So those are the few comments that we can take. Honestly, the comments are so much. And for the very first time, the governor of Niger State is coming out boldly to plead that the terrorists should be given a soft landing. In fact, that the military shouldn't retaliate, but that is trying to initiate a dialogue with them. This is quite deep, and honestly, this is very, very unsettling that regardless of whatever, we seem to have lost humanity. We seem to have forgotten the fact that peace should be what every leader should be aiming for. and where injustice is done to human lives, regardless of whether they are even military men, because a lot of people have lost their lives, means of livelihood, ancestral land, their mental health, because of the effect of all these bandits that has been everywhere for over 13 years. Niger State, that used to be one of the most peaceful states in Nigeria, has now turned to a state where the indigents are living in fear and extreme poverty. What's your opinion? Please drop it in the comment section.